Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John's report. It's for the 1st of November. Well, we continue to etch towards higher highs, obviously, with the continuation of our MBI magenta over yellow. And we've had continued rising red DOC, which is long-term buyers. And that. So the slight flux between shorts and cyan dipping below the zero again, with steel rising, and that promotes a push towards higher highs. So that's all congruent. Doesn't mean we aren't going to have moves within that broader range. I mean, the further we get away from the ABM yellow, you have likely fillbacks into it, and still you can maintain a bullish stance even within those ups and downs. So NASDAQ congruent with those exact same views. In fact, you have cyan below green, so on the DOC down here, and that's continuation bullish from that standpoint as well. Euro a major dump, and this is the interesting thing that's happening in the background of the market, where you're seeing the bond markets starting to get a little wild, and within that, it's the private sector saying, hey, with the inflation rate that we're seeing, and that interest rates are falsely at a low rate, and that's going to have to even out at some point. And the more back and forth you get that, the closer things start to look like what 08 did back in the day. And here's TLT from that standpoint, here's Treasuries. So you get these periods of strong buy when you think people get a little frightened, that lowers rates, but then eventually you're going to just continue to see that decline as rates rise in that inverse relationship. From a Bitcoin standpoint, back and forth, still, it's fun because when we see these positive extremes that we mark here with our support resistance lines and the dips that go pretty much right to them, it just shows you the power of the algorithms as even relates to what people think is a crypto independent of that. That was the whole point of creating these futures as well as the ETFs, gives that ability, and it certainly opens up to the market players that whole short side of things, which, as we've pointed out with the profit analysis, far more effective even than the long side. Let's look at the 50K before we jump to that. Let's look at our profit and loss setup on that one, because the long side is still producing excellent win rate, 60%, just about 50% on the short side. But given how bullish the market's been, it's remarkable to even see that positivity from both sides of the coin. So I think that's effective as well. We can look at the performance report and see where we are related to the peak on that. So the performance report here, slightly off its equity highs, but relatively close to one trade, and that's certainly going to push it all the way back up to it, and within the broader context of it, short accurate read right there. But what we've noted in the change in the PNT2 is that when that magenta comes back over and is riding above that, that's that bullish tint. And once cyan moved over underneath the green DOC right here, you can see the positivity, and it took that as the opportunity to exit that. But you can see the turnaround was taking place as soon as the magenta crossed back above cyan, and that took place right there for relatively flat, but left another couple of bars there just to see if things would revert back. And then from a PNT2A, what you would see different is this, where before yesterday when we had the green dotted lines, we had red going through there, and you can see I made those adjustments with that crossover that so that it turns it. So giving us a little bit closer tie into exactly what we expected. This is some of the dots, a couple more to work out with the upper side of it, flipping to the short. But from a bottom standpoint, when the yellow dot's ending and developing that bullish, positive extreme line, I'll put that back. You'll also probably see some dark magenta. That's when we get like an MBI signal or whatever within the continuation short side, and that maintains it a little bit more language to add in there to keep it consistent all the way through until we get the brand new buy setup. But all in all, looking really strong from that standpoint. You can see again, still within one screen without any real compression, fitting entire volume day again. So it's lower relative volume. It's a little bit better than before, but on higher highs again, that's vulnerable to significant retraces. So when we do capture, and you can see like all of the pre-market move that's taking place here is all positive extreme, so it's likely all that's going to see a retrace right back into it. So we'll keep following that, but I would expect that we're going to see a lot more volatility within November, even as much as it can still be positive moves to the upside as well as downside. But I think those swings are just going to grow just because of the uncertainty of things as it continues to move towards the end of the year, despite typical end of year bullishness. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk again later. Look for me on the Skype chat.